So in the last video, I fixed the gears in this set and got that working well. And along the way, I actually had to make a few other adjustments to get it running as well as possible. So in this video, I'll show you what all I did there to make this a really nice, smooth running set.
So now that I know that the gears work, let's see what I can do to tune this up to make it run a bit better. One of the more major problems I was having back there was pretty poor electrical pickup, and after examining this, I found that it is made using a wireless system. These wheels here sit on metal contacts, which you can see go up to here, and are on each side of this post. That's blackened metal there. So that'll help it to resist tarnish, which is good. And the power goes through these sprung pins here, which I've noticed don't seem to be springing in very hard, so let's see if I can maybe bend these in a little bit. So being gentle, I was able to get this pulled out of there, just prying those little edges there to the sides a bit. And that let me more freely work on the pins there, and now you can see I have them springing inward a bit more. I think that'll put more tension on the contacts and hopefully make it more reliable around the track. And when working on those electrical contacts, you've got to be sure to do the passenger cars too, to make sure the power system's complete from front to back. The next problem I was having was that the whole set ran with kind of a surging motion down the track, so I found that these bottom covers are actually fit too tightly to it and were restricting the movement of the axles, so I'll just file these slots out a little bit with a file, and that should take care of that problem. And I don't want to file out too much, so I'm also trimming just a little bit out of the snap area using a sharp knife. Doesn't need much, just enough to make it fit slightly more loose. I mean, not a loose fit, but not the super tight fit that it currently has either. And with those little changes, the axles are now turning very freely. That should be an improvement. And the last problem I had there was some squeaking, just from being dry and sitting for so long. So just a little touch of oil here and there, especially in these middle axles where the electrical contacts are. At first I thought these were resting on needle points or something, but they're actually resting on just that little spot behind the wheel right there.
I gave it another test run and it was still having electrical problems and some surging motion, so I found that the main center gear in this truck is a bit off center, so I'll see if there's anything I can do to fix that. I also found the wires for the LED are pressing directly against the motor's flywheel, which will restrict some movement and cause noise, so I'll also bend some of that out of the way and get all these little things fixed up. Here's another little issue I just came across. The worm is meshed way too tightly with the gear below it, so it's actually riding up on the gear instead of resting on its bushings. So we'll see if I can make some adjustment to that. Okay, so I think I've got the mesh corrected now. I used some leftovers from this plastic sheet from my DGH kit, coordination kit. I haven't measured the exact thickness of it, but it's about the same as that plastic bubble you get from most of your packaged items from the store. So glued pieces of that in there. And the worm's bushings sit on top of that. And that should give just enough space between the worm and that first gear for the teeth to mesh the way that they need without binding. And similar to what I did for the bottom cover plates here, I filed down the tabs on the top cover here just a bit so that they don't hold down quite as tightly to the worm. So let's see how that all works.
And with just a touch more filing in this area so that it's not pressing down quite as hard on that bushing, everything now seems to be turning freely. And I don't feel any resistance coming from the gears, so that should run a lot smoother. And I was also looking at the wires, and I think another part of the electrical issues was that these wires were never actually soldered to the terminals here. They were just kind of wrapped around them, so they didn't really have a good tight connection there and could kind of lose contact now and then. So I scratched a little bit of the coating off and then put some solder there to hold them in place, and I think that'll work better. No problems on the test bench so far. Wheels are turning smoothly, quietly. See how it does on the track. This is the rear unit I was working on, so I'll run it in reverse here. It seems to be working pretty well so far. Still some electrical pickup issues, and I think that's what's causing the surge at this point. Once it's connected to the rest of the set, I think it'll be a lot better. The front unit was assembled quite a bit better and didn't have the gear mesh problem of the rear unit, so all I did was solder those front two wires there, and let's see if that helped. I've given the set a couple more runs around the track, and with the electrical improvements, it has had no more pickup issues, no more lights flickering or surging motion. The sounds are still on, as you can tell. I just turned off the engine sound so that when I run it here, you can see just how quiet it is now. May not be silent, but that's still very good. So these first runs, they may not have been perfect. A few little quality issues here and there. But with a bit of work, there's still some very nice runners. And now you know some of the things to look out for to make these things run as well as possible.